Hello and welcome to the reaction video of mine for the second round of the NFL playoffs that were held this past weekend. We're going to talk about the four games like I did last week with Wild Card Weekend. Today we're going to do the Divisional round. It was an interesting weekend with three games, but New England, they always find a way to win or cheat in that case, and I'm always sick and tired of the Patriots. So quickly to recap our matchups to figure out who will determine the two teams that will play in Super Bowl 52. Jacksonville will be playing New England, and the Philadelphia Eagles, believe it or not, will be playing a team that's trying to host a Super Bowl in their own building. All right, we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings. There have been 52 Super Bowls, and this is the chance for the Vikings to actually host the very first Super Bowl by a home team. It's never happened before, but it will happen. And I'm hoping it does. Even though I can't stand that stupid Skull Viking song, I'm hoping they make it to make history. And at least it's not the Patriots, and at least it's not Pittsburgh, because, why would the NFL even have a Super Bowl in a non-warm environment in February? Or normally they do it in domes. And we've never had a home team host, so I'm hoping it happens. Alright, so quickly give out the schedules. Next week, if you're going to be tuning in, AFC Championship will be at 3 o'clock on the January 21st, which is Sunday, between Jacksonville and New England. That game will be called by Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. And the Fox game by Aikman and Buck. They'll be doing that one, 6:40 on Fox. And then the Super Bowl 52 game, February 4th, on NBC, called by Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth. And I'm very happy that NBC gets to do the game this year. I like Al Michaels. He's been a veteran broadcaster for many years. Chris Collinsworth gives interesting opinions. I will admit that. And with CBS lately, I've started to enjoy Tony Romo's high passion opinion. I really have. Aikman's okay on Fox, but I just can't stand Joe Buck. I really can't. He's not passionate. Alright, so let's go to the quick recap. I don't want to make this video that long, but I just wanted to give out the matchups for this weekend coming up. Alright, let's go to the first game. Our first game on Saturday was very interesting. We had a good game between the Eagles and the Falcons. The Eagles, the 1 seed, hosting the Atlanta Falcons, who were actually favored by 2.5, then 3.5 on the road. So that was interesting. So quickly recap, the Eagles defense recorded 3 sacks, held the Falcons to 281 yards, 83 below their season average, and stopped the Falcons on 4 consecutive plays after a first and goal on their own 9-yard line in the final minutes to preserve a 15-10 win. So we're going to quickly just recap the second half. So basically, it was pretty much a game where the defense was there for the Falcons and pretty much for the Eagles. Basically, the touchdown for the Eagles was that LeGarrette Blount was able to go into the end zone, putting them up 6-3. And then Jake Elliott tried kicking the extra point, and he missed it. Atlanta had to punt in that next drive, but the ball bounced into the Eagles blocker and was recovered by Falcons linebacker LaRae Reynolds, where they would go up 10-6 with Matt Ryan's 6-yard touchdown pass to Devontae Freeman. So he actually passed the ball to his running back. And then this is interesting. This is the play of the game, in my opinion. Nick Foles completed a pass as the clock was going down before the first half ended to Corey Clement. Oh, my bad. That was Alshon Jeffrey who caught the ball with under 1 second left and got the ball out of bounds for Jake Elliott to make a field goal, which then cut the score to 10-9 at halftime. Ooh, little malfunction there. So I'm going to double read this before I read it. You know me, I like to read. Carson Wentz was good. He completed 23 of his 30 passes for 206 passing yards. And then this was interesting here. Matt Ryan tried to help the Falcons come back when the Eagles took the lead. So this is a pretty interesting game. I will admit that it was close, it was competitive. The defense showed up for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Falcons really tried to do something, and this is how the game ended. As I said earlier, the game ended on the Falcons trying to convert into the end zone, try to get the 6 points in order to win the game, but they failed. 4 consecutive plays near the end zone that helped the Falcons lose, and it helped the Eagles win. So with that win, it was their first playoff win since 2008, and not to mention their first time ever in the NFC Conference Championship game when they lost to the Arizona Cardinals, and their first at home since 2004 when they actually won the NFC Conference Championship game, but then lost to, of course, the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. Yeah, we're not going to read about how the Patriots creamed the Titans. I don't want to read that. It just annoys me. And I'm hoping the Jacksonville New England game is competitive next week, but I doubt it because the Patriots are at home. I understand it's Blake Bortles' first try ever in a AFC Conference Championship game. I like their defense, but they're not going to be ready to handle Gronkowski and Tom Brady and the Patriots. I would be very surprised if New England didn't make the Super Bowl. I think they will make it to the Super Bowl, but this is an interesting year, all right? Because you have two teams in Philadelphia and Minnesota who haven't really been to the NFC Conference Championship game in a while, and both teams get an opportunity to see who gets to play in Minnesota in February. Okay, so we're going to quickly look at how the Jaguars were able to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 45-42. So in this game, what happened was Leonard Fournette ran for 109 yards and 3 touchdowns. That was on the ground. Blake Bortles was able to pass for 214 yards and a final fourth quarter score as the relentless Jaguars stunned Pittsburgh by 3 points. So what happened was in this game, Jacksonville in the first quarter raced to a 21-point lead against the Steelers. And then Pittsburgh tried coming back in the second quarter, but this was very impressive. Roethlisberger almost threw for 500 yards and set a franchise record with 5 touchdown passes in the game, but was also picked off once and had a fumble return for a score. Antonio Brown, coming back from injury, caught 7 passes for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns in his return from injury. Le'Veon Bell rushed for 155 yards. And he also got into the end zone twice. So when you compare it, Pittsburgh's offense basically had a little bit of a spark, but Jacksonville was able to come up with a huge defensive showing. And what was stupid about the end of the game was that the clock was going down in the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh tried going down the field, and with 1 second left, Roethlisberger threw the Shoo Smith Jr. with 1 second left. That was a touchdown. They tried the onside kick, but really didn't matter. They tried going for an onside kick earlier in the game, but that ended up being an epic fail. I thought that under the 2-minute warning, they should have, did the basic kick to try to put Jacksonville in deep in their own territory, but that didn't work out. So a very controversial decision by Mike Tomlin earlier before the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter. And that's what basically cost the Steelers any chance today to play New England next week. And it's interesting that Jacksonville has not been to an NFC Conference Championship game in a very long time. I don't even remember the last time they were in that type of game. It's been a long time. And Jacksonville hasn't been in the playoffs in almost 10 years. So you wonder something here. The question will be next week. Can the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this is a question that will be discussed all week on Florida Sports Talk Radio. I'm pretty sure in Jacksonville they're already thinking about it. Can the defense, and can Leonard Fournette, and can Blake Bortles find a way to win and upset the New England Patriots in Foxborough? It's a possibility, but I would like to check the spread. So as this article is loading, we're going to look up the odds for next week's game. I think that would be the appropriate way to end the video. I'm sorry that I didn't load it earlier, but that's what happens when you're making videos live. So we'll try to get Google up. I don't think Google's loading. That's very odd. But here's the score of the Vikings-Saint game, 29-24. What happened in this game was Minnesota was able to win the game on a walk-off touchdown. That's how the Vikings were able to pull it out today in the first ever playoff game at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota. All right, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to stop recording and I will come back. Wait, can we go down? Okay, here it is. Case Keenum completed a latch-dish dive near the sideline on the game's final play as Stephon Diggs slithered away for a 61-yard touchdown to give the Minnesota Vikings a 29-24 victory over the Saints. That's what happened. So in the fourth quarter, Drew Brees had driven the Saints in position for Will Lutz's go-ahead 43-yard field goal with 25 seconds remaining, puncturing a steady rally from a 17-point deficit that stood until 1:16 was left in the third quarter. The Vikings had basically no timeouts. What happened here? I was reading that part of the sentence. I hate these technical difficulties. I really do. Why won't it let me go up? We go up? I hope you can. I'm sorry for this, everyone. But basically, while the computer is trying to regroup and figure out what's going on, what happened was the Saints had the lead. They kicked the field goal. Vikings were trying to come back. The Saints defense thought that they had basically quieted the Vikings, but then Casey Keenum was able to throw a touchdown, and that's what happened. So, there you have it. There we go. Vikings were out of timeouts and nearly out of options when Keenum dropped back with 10 seconds to go from his own 39 and throw high into a crowd. Okay, so Diggs, the wide receiver, was able to catch the ball for a 61-yard touchdown, and it helped the Vikings win. They will be their first ever NFC championship game appearance since 2009, when they actually lost to the New Orleans Saints. And the weird coincidence about that game was that Brett Favre was the quarterback, and that game was at the Superdome. And I remember that game very well, that the Saints were all over Brett Favre. They were all over him. So this game will be different. Honestly, it will be. I think it's different for one reason and one reason only, and that will be for the reason of Carson Wentz and Casey Keenum. Two quarterbacks who don't have enough playoff experience. Yeah, you could say Foles had experience a few years ago before Carson Wentz was drafted, but honestly, the way I look at it is that, it's not enough for anything, and we're going to get to see the best out of these quarterbacks next week. I mean, that's what I'm hoping. That's what I like to see, right? Isn't that what we all want to see? But again, I'm glad I was able to give you a recap. I like to see if I can load the spreads, and if we can't, I'll just end the recording. But I'm pretty sure right now, if I look at it, it's going to be, I don't think the spreads will be up yet, but I'm sure the spreads are already starting. If they haven't started by now for next week's championship game, and I'm sure maybe on Spam this Wednesday I can make my accurate predictions, but this weekend, another bad weekend for me on my picks. It wasn't that good. I didn't do well. I only won with New England. And, okay, let me think. 29-24, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think I went 2-2 because I'm pretty sure I covered the 4 points. Because the Vikings did win by 5, and New England obviously covered with the -14. Here are the spreads for the conference championship games next week. And this is very interesting that Las Vegas wants New England to play the Vikings for the historical reasons of Tom Brady and the Patriots playing the home team who will be hosting the Super Bowl in that scenario, the Minnesota Vikings. So Minnesota right now for the opening spread is 3.5, but this could change. As far as the New England game goes, I think the spread will change during the week. From the Minnesota Eagle game, I could see something changing. I wouldn't make a prediction, but definitely for the New England game right now, my opening spread would be New England -7. I think the 2 points, I don't think it would really benefit both teams. But right now, I'm giving New England -7 in my book, and I'm giving the Vikings -3. I don't like the 3.5. That's what I don't like about Vegas, is that they are very unfair for the spreads. So, I'm going to say this. I like the matchup to be New England taking Minnesota. And again, I don't like Tom Brady, but for the ratings, you want the Patriots to be in the Super Bowl, right? It's Tom Brady and the Patriots taking on the Vikings. This could be one of the highest rated Super Bowls of all time if that happens. The home team hosting a Super Bowl, that could happen. It's a possibility. You bet with your head in these games. So choose carefully who you think the Super Bowl matchup will be. But for the sexy appeal, you're going to want to see New England play the Vikings. So that's where I end the video. And again, Today you got to see how bad it is with me loading web pages on the Wi-Fi booster, because with my Wi-Fi booster it's just terrible, and with the regular Netgear network I have, it's like, why does that one easier to use? So that's where I end it. Thank you all for watching, and next week I will be recapping the NFC and AFC Conference Championship game and quickly trying to preview Super Bowl 52. Thank you all for watching.